People always ask me what can they do with wrist pain or to increase wrist mobility. A lot of people have issues with the wrist joint. Many of them are trying to treat the symptoms by using wrist wraps or parallettes because wrist wraps help to decrease the load of the wrist joint, and parallettes put your hands in a position where you don't need that much mobility as you're doing the same on the floor. There are some people who think that supporting on the floor is particularly unhealthy and harmful. But is this really true? What should you do to increase wrist mobility without compromises, train with pain, or use wrist wraps at all costs? Stay with me and I tell you in this video. What's up guys, it's Adam from gymnasticsmethod.com. If you don't want to miss my videos about bodyweight training and lifestyle, please subscribe and click on the bell. Thank you. And if you want to get access to all the Gymnastics Method workout programs, tutorials like planche, handstand or muscle up, nutrition guide, daily workouts and much more, click the link below and become a member now on gymnasticsmethod.com. So, wrist mobility. First of all, let's clarify the misconceptions I mentioned earlier. Supporting on your hands on the floor is not unhealthy or harmful. You don't have to wear wrist wraps, I never do, neither my students, or you don't have to do your push-ups or any exercises in support on parallettes. The truth is that these misconceptions are developed because most people haven't done any activity where they had to support on their hands for a while, they haven't worked out for years, and after they decided to restart, they feel pain. Think about it, when you're working on the computer all day with this spastic hand position or using the mouse, you hold your hands or wrists tightly so your joints and muscles get tight. And since there are a lot of people who do this, the usual conclusion is that the pain that comes by practicing the handstand or doing push-ups is normal, so those positions are harmful for the wrists. Seriously, when do you think an average person last leaned with a part or all of their total weight on their hands? If you train and watch my videos because of that, then you probably have done it recently, but ask someone who you know that doesn't train. Most likely, they can't even remember. The expression, if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it, is true in this case as well as in many other training situations. The truth is that in many cases, by not using something, when we start using it again, pain appears because we are so weak that the basic normal load becomes a problem. It's totally normal that it doesn't occur to people that support on the ground by doing push-ups is harmful or bad. Why would it be? Okay, stop for a second. Why would be supporting on the ground bad for you? When you crawled on the ground when you were a kid, did your parents give you wrist wrap? Did you use parallettes? Of course not. So, when someone after a long not using period plans to start working out again and doing push-ups or practicing handstand without joint preparation, it's not surprising that wrists begin to hurt. From not using, the person starts immediately with overusing. And what is the missing link? What's the step in between? If you watched my previous videos, I hope you know it now. The joint preparation. Yes, the joint preparation is a key here as well. First, you need to oil your joints and mobilize, then stabilize or strengthen them to be stronger in the biggest possible range of motion. Here, you need to do the mobilization exercises and the stabilization exercises separately, which is for instance the opposite of what you will do with the scapulas. I'll talk about that in a bit, but first, let's see some anatomy to help you understand why the following exercises are super effective. The wrist is an ellipsoidal or condyloid type synovial joint allowing movement along two axes. This means flexion, extension, adduction and abduction, and circumcision. You can do all these movements as the part of the warm-up. To move around your wrists, you can do many movements and variations, but if you want to just keep it simple, do these basic movements 10 to 15 times in each direction and it's gonna work as well. However, if you want to do more challenging isolations that develop your nervous system as well, you can find more on the link below. After the warm-up, it's time for the mobilizations. Many people do the mobilization simply in kneeling support with forward-looking fingers and stretch the flexor muscles of the forearm leaning forward. They do the same with backward-looking fingers and maybe on the back of the hand with backward-looking fingers to stretch the extensor muscles. This is one method and it works as well, but I call this the 2D, so 2 dimensions method, since you just move back and forth. So you stretch the muscles only from one direction and you give your nervous system a simple sign. But me and my clients always use a different method with great success. The position is the same, so it's a kneeling support, done with locked elbows as well, but we don't lean back and forth, but do a circular motion. This is how you can give your wrist joint a moderate load from all directions, and you can stretch the muscles in 3D as well. Why is this method good? Why is it better than the other one? On one hand, the wrist joint allows this movement perfectly, in which we can get the same stretch and effect like in the other one, but more. The more directions, the more versatile we move the joints in the possible range of motion and stretch the muscles, the more we will benefit from it in different situations. For instance, when you are practicing the kick up to handstand and you lean over, you step out with one of your hands and you put your wrists in an unusual position. If you prepared your wrists for this, there will be no problem. From this perspective, it's much better to do the circles than the back and forth leans. From the nervous system perspective, the circular motion is beneficial because of two things. The first one belongs to the movement body map that I mentioned in one of my previous videos. The bigger your movement body map is, the more movements you can do, the more joint range of motion you use the right way and often, your nervous system will be more developed and you will be able to move confidently without injuries. The other effect is because of the circular motion itself. This movement helps your nervous system to relax, so you can stretch your muscles, increase the range of motion more efficiently. I know it sounds weird and funny, but this matters as well. So, how should you do these mobilizations? Get into kneeling support and place your hands in front of your body with shoulder width stance, first with forward-looking fingers and locked elbows. Do circles like this in each direction and imagine that you draw a big circle around your hands with your shoulders. Try to do as big circles as you can with keeping your hands on the ground. The bottom of your hands need to stay on the ground as well. That's a usual mistake. In the beginning, you will maybe be able to do only small circles, but as you do these movements, it will improve. Do the same movement to each direction with backward-looking fingers with out-rotated arms, then backward-looking fingers with in-rotated arms, and finally on the back of your hands. By the back of the hand variation, you can increase the intensity gradually like this. Fingers looking at each other, fingers looking backward, and fingers looking forward. Here, it's more challenging to keep your elbows locked, but you need to strive for that. The load on your hands should be natural in all hand positions. You don't need to put a bigger load on them, and you don't have to increase that intensity. People sometimes feel too much in the back of the hand position, and that's totally normal. If you feel the same, you can bring your hands closer to your body and put more load on the legs instead of the hands. Depending on the need for mobilization, do 5 to 15 circles in each direction as the part of the prehab routine after the general warm-up. So this will be the wrist mobilization. This wrist mobilization routine is gold. Some of my students' ganglion cyst has completely disappeared thanks to the wrist mobilization. Unfortunately, this doesn't mean that it's going to be the same experience for everyone, but there are many examples of our students when the ganglion was painless. In addition to the pain in the wrist, these exercises can also relieve the pain in the elbow, as these are also often muscle-induced, and the pain is eliminated by stretching the flexor and extensor muscles of the forearm. Now you know how to increase the mobility of your wrists, but how to make them stronger. In the next video, I show you some extremely useful wrist stabilizing, strengthening exercises that you can use to make your handstand, press to handstand, or any supported exercise more stable and easier. If you're interested in all the best wrist isolation, mobilization, and stabilization exercises, click the link below, join now on gymnasticsmethod.com and watch the prehab series, or start doing the primal programs to build a shredded physique like a gymnast. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did so, please like, share, and write a comment what do you want to see in the next videos. Subscribe if you haven't already and click on the bell for more. See you next Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.